So welcome to my shop. This shop is 15 feet by 16 feet, and while it's not gigantic, I've got just about everything in here I could think to need. Start with this section here. This is my drill press. I picked it up for 50 bucks on Craigslist. That will become a familiar song to you. Most of my power tools were picked up on Craigslist. This shop actually, when I bought this house, the shop came with it, and the people that lived here passed away in this house. So when they did the estate sale, they actually didn't sell any of the tools from the shop. It was very nice of the lady who was selling it to us. She found out I was into woodworking. And so there are a mix of my tools and the previous owner's tools in this shop. I had a pretty decent collection already, but it's basically, you know, got augmented by his collection. Here is something that rarely gets opened in any of the videos. It's a space for my air compressor. I also use it to house weird bits now and then. There is an air line that's hooked up that runs around the shop. You can see a couple of hoses in view here, but it leaks and I haven't quite taken into fixing it yet. So for now, I just store it under there. And when I moved into this shop, I had two bandsaws, neither one of which I own anymore. 12-inch Craftsman Steely from 1940s, and the other one was a Delta Rockwell bandsaw from 1992. When I moved in here, I just didn't have space for them, so I just kept the Delta. And then this popped up on Craigslist. It is a 1960s Atlas / Craftsman bandsaw. It has a 17-inch wheels, which makes it a 17-inch bandsaw, and it has 12 inches of clearance. It is built like a rock. And it has taken every bit of nonsense that I have thrown at it. But it really is a beautiful saw, and having a big bandsaw is a huge advantage. So, and I'm happy to say that I picked it up for $260 on Craigslist. I picked this up on Craigslist for $50. This is a 1950, came off the line in 1950 Delta Unisaw. It's a 10-inch saw, and it works like a dream. But it took a long time to get to that point. When I bought it, it was rusted almost all the way through. I had to completely de-rust the top and strip it down and repaint it, and it was just a lot of work. But it runs like a dream. An interesting fact of this particular table saw is that that motor right there is an induction motor. They call it a bullet motor. It's only rated at 1 horsepower. But it weighs 82 pounds. It is a beast, and it will easily cut through 8-quarter oak without breaking a sweat. So I don't know who came up with the horsepower ratings of today, but as far as I'm concerned, it's equivalent to a 3 horsepower motor today. Now the saw was not like this when I bought it. It just came with, it was just a regular jet lock fence, and you know, that's it. It didn't have this wing on there. I bought this this cast iron table saw wing, you get ready, on Craigslist for $150. So that makes this saw closer to, well really with all the work I put into it, I probably put about $600 in this saw, which is fine. It's a good saw. I also bought a Biesmeyer fence, also off Craigslist, for 50 bucks. So this is my baby, and I absolutely love this table saw. It works fantastic. It takes everything I throw at it, and I know it inside and out. All right, turning directly behind the table saw is this inventable CNC machine. It was a Shapeoko 2 that was sent out to me in March of this year, and I assembled it by myself. And it worked. It cut, it did its job, it worked. And then one day, for no reason whatsoever, it bent its shaft, which is this guy right here. The Z motor went down, bent the shaft, and I called them up and let them know, and they sent me out the parts to upgrade my Shapeoko 2 to an X-Carve. The problem is I needed more than just upgrade parts because some parts had broken. So I've had this sort of back and forth for a while, and the truth is I'm done with it. I have yet to get it to cut since the day that it bent itself up like a pickle. So I don't know if it's something I've done, if it's just upset about being here, if it doesn't like salt. You know, there's lots of different factors. But the truth of the matter is, CNCs are fantastic for replicating projects, doing the same project over and over again, coming up with a design and a pattern, then doing it over and over again. I don't need that. And frankly, I'm tired of dealing with it. So there's someone that's gonna come and pick it up, and they're gonna take it over to their shop, and I wish them the best of luck with it. And I will use this space for something else. I wouldn't mind actually getting myself a nice scroll saw. So I might look into that. I think a scroll saw would be an apt replacement for a CNC. Some odd bits down there. Oh, you know, filler, and oh, my dovetail jig. I bought a dovetail jig. It was the very first thing I bought when I started getting into woodworking. And I've never even used it. I've actually cut dovetails, but I did them by hand. So I have a completely new, unused dovetail jig, which as far as I know, is a good one. I don't know why I thought I needed one. This is my catch-all space. This is the space directly to the left of the CNC machine and still behind the table saw. It's where I put stuff when I don't know where else to put stuff. I have old projects here, I have new projects here, I have garbage, I have saws, I have a collection of bits and whatnots. Oh yes, some crayons, some molds, some other crazy ideas. So, I don't know. When I don't know what to do with something, it usually ends some failures. This was my first Oreo. You can see it didn't quite set up. Here's coffee beans. It was another mold. I was gonna make coasters out of it, but ended up not. And bacon handle tool. You've seen that. The Coin-a-Pult, which was still, I love this project, but it spawned one of the worst projects I've ever made. So I like to keep those as reminders, you know? Yes, I have made some really neat things, but I have also made some really horrible things. Looking at you, Tron Car. So sometimes I throw them away, and sometimes I like to keep them as a reminder to me that not everything works. Oh, and a very well-used portion of the shop. This is my lathe and sharpening station. I use the Wolverine sharpening guides for all of my sharpening. I do not have any carbide tip tools, so I do all of my sharpening with this bench grinder. The skews I actually end up sharpening with diamond cards. But yeah, so as untraditional as I am everywhere else, I only use traditional turning tools. And why is that? Because I'm cheap and I don't want to buy anything else. My turning tools are actually, the majority of them are actually from Harbor Freight, which is where I bought them originally. I've collected odd ones, a new spindle gouge, some higher end scrapers, all off discount sites. I don't spend full price. They're all used tools. So it's just who I am. I just don't like paying full price for stuff. Here is another section of the shop that is rarely seen. Basically, every screw, connector, washer, bolt, and nut you can think of is I have. So you can see the lathe right here. So just to the left of the lathe, I have a collection of HDPE. Before I became the crazy person on YouTube, everyone who knew me thought I was obsessed with walnut. And this is probably why. It's $9 for a 50-pound bag of these cutoffs, and the quality of wood that comes in their cutoff bag is just outrageous. I always have a bag of it in the shop. Oh yeah, I like this. I like this project. This window is puts out a ton of light, and I blocked it off when I did the black lights, and I just haven't unblocked it. It's ugly, and I need to like take it all down. But I don't have a place to put this clock yet in the house. We're going to be redoing one of our rooms I'm going to be redoing it, and I think it'll really look nice in there. But for now, I don't really have a place for it, so it's just sitting in here. And my drawers. Anybody want to look in my drawers? Just weird stuff. These are a bunch of additives, epoxy additives. Ooh, I like this one. Where is it? This is one of my favorites. I need to find a project for it. These all came from a viewer named Ian Thomas, and they're additives for resin. So if you can think of something to use all these different cool colors for, I need to start coming up with some projects. They're on my dip it list, but I'm not sure the dip its are really grabbing folks. I might just move on. Sanding pads. More boring stuff. Oh, plywood scraps. Down here we just have more space for storage. This is actually a really cool old tenoning jig. If you're into old tools, let me show you this. So this thing weighs a ton. It's incredibly heavy. It is a tenoning jig. And the purpose of it is to hold wood upright on your table saw to take a cheek pass for cutting tenons. It's this, and lock it down, and this would ride in the miter slot, and you would pass it over the blade to cut your cheeks. That's really the only function that it has. It's for making that cut safely in the end grain. And this is one of those tools that you just don't see very often. Mostly it comes up in estate sales because guys who have them don't want to get rid of them. This tool generally goes for around 250 bucks on eBay. I picked it up, it was barn fresh, which means it was absolutely covered in rust, for $25. If I ever sold my Unisaw, I'd probably sell this along with it. Just because the person who owns the Unisaw would probably appreciate something like this. That being said, I have no desire to sell my saw. Or, oh, my extremely heavy tenoning jig. This bump out here is actually a restroom. So one of the really nice features of this shop is a restroom. This is a craptastic sander. I don't remember. It's an off model, but it works fine. Yeah, a decent little sander. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Does a fine job. And I have no complaints. Oh, by the way, if you're interested, this is what Jawbreaker looks like on a sander. So, which is the reason I'm replacing the belts today. My Work Sharp is a great little tool. I used to do all of my sharpening for my chisels and my planes with the Scary Sharp method, which is good if you're cheap, but I finally ended up breaking down and buying one of these. It was on sale for, I think, 150 bucks. So, which is a really good deal for that particular machine. And I love it. I love it, and I won't go back to Scary Sharp. And this is a scroll saw that came with the shop. It makes me want a scroll saw, a real scroll saw, because it can do sort of scroll saw jobs, but it has these enormous pins on the side of the blade, so the smallest hole that you can have, the smallest inside detail you can have, has to be at least 3/8 of an inch. So it's too bad. I really wanted to get into some detailed scrolling, but I can't do it with this saw. So I will probably be putting this up on Craigslist later this week. So I get asked a lot of times what got me interested in woodworking, and the truth is really simple. We needed a shelf for our living room, and so my wife asked me to make a shelf, and I did, and it was horrible. It was ugly, it was uneven, it was poorly constructed, but I never had so much fun in my whole life, and I kind of got hooked. So I just started making other things. And I made a lot of furniture for my house. I made cabinets, I made desks, and one day there was a free lathe up on Craigslist, and I picked it up, and all productivity disappeared after that. It was like the last day that anything really productive ever got done. So I love turning, and the problem that I did was that I made my fun of the shop into a business. and I started selling things from the lathe. Pens and bottle stoppers and bowls and bracelets and anyway, and I was doing good. It was making good money. In fact, most of the shop is built on the money that I made from those things. But it sucked away my joy. It just evaporated it to the point where I didn't want to come out to the shop anymore because I hated it out here, because the only thing that I had to do was things that I had to do. So I don't want to go back to that, which is why for me, my shop time is fun time. And if it ever becomes not fun time, I don't want to do it. I've already been miserable in my shop, and I remember how much I disliked that. So I'm not going to do it again. There we go. Nice flat looking top. Edges are a little sharp, and we'll just get it this way. So while I came out to the shop to do maintenance, clean up, get all the sawdust off the floor, de-rust tools, change out sandpaper, I actually did end up doing a few little projects, trying out my red dye and making a new handle for my tamper. So, you know, the shop is never fully cleaned up. For me, the chaos is sort of enjoyable. And honestly, if your shop time isn't fun, then you might want to rethink how you're doing it.